sometimes I don't even have to do anything. Things just get done by on their own. And I feel like when you get into that flow, there is no limit to the sky. Things just start unraveling and unfolding themselves in the best possible way for the person.
Welcome to today's episode of the Seven Figure Journey podcast. I'm one of your hosts, David Gilliland, and we have the privilege of having Alex Mustafin with us from buildtheteam.io. Alex, thanks so much for joining the call today.
And hi, David. It's nice to meet you. And hello, everyone who is listening or watching to us. I'm super excited to join this podcast. Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, where are you calling out of today? Where are you located?
We are currently visiting Sarasota in Florida, and so in between of our uh, like kind of traveling throughout the city, I stopped just at some cover bar, and I'm having this call with you now.
Well, we're delighted to have you again. Thank you so much. We love having conversations with entrepreneurs, and you're one of those serial entrepreneurs. I mean, you've built many businesses that are currently running that you're leading, but you build them in a way that it doesn't take a lot of your time. That they can run, they can go, and you build the next one. You build the next one. You just kind of keep going. And the one we want to talk about is this build a team, and what it does. Tell us what inspired you to do this particular job, this particular business, and how did you get to this point?
Right. So it was a funny story. I was in Silicon Valley at that time, and we had another startup called Dpost, and we went through 500 startups, batch nine with that one, and it got finally acquired. And so suddenly I was sitting on my sofa in my apartment and I was thinking, okay, what am I supposed to do now that I don't have to do anything, but at the same time, I'm too young to retire. But I was thinking maybe I should start helping other people. And I had all these thoughts in my head and I was thinking about the business that I should launch. So I was in the middle of this entrepreneurial scene where there are a lot of founders trying to build their own products. And when I was thinking about it, I thought, if I want to build something, definitely need in anything I will build a team. And then I was like, build a team. I was like, oh, is that domain available? And so immediately I had this idea of trying to create an outsourcing platform where I would be able to help other entrepreneurs as well as myself to build great products and build software solutions in such a way that we could use talent from all over the world, combine it on one place, and then build teams on demand for different types of solutions. And in such a way, I started thinking about it. I bought the domain, buildtheteam.io right away, maybe the same night. And then it just grew up from there. And immediately I started going to different events in Silicon Valley and I saw the demand for what I was doing. And a lot of people were asking me, oh, can you recommend us someone to hire to build this product? Because we have this idea, but we don't really have a lot of budget in order to build it. And slowly but surely, our team grew, and eventually, I think we built over, I don't want to lie, but over maybe 500 or even closer to 1,000 different projects, all the way from e-commerce solutions to mobile applications, ERP integrations, automation solutions. Once we even built a software app for Ferrari USA for their event in New York for when they had like some anniversary. It was really cool. It was interesting to work with them.
That's fun. I mean, that's how it is, right? We see a need, we have a little entrepreneurial insanity moment, and we're like, let's do another thing, right? And we jump in, and it's fun, and it's hard. But you've done this several times, and you've learned some little gems along the way. I mean, you've built several companies past the $1 million mark and grown beyond there. What are some real nuggets? Like once you get to a million, what should we be thinking about then? Because all of us on this call are probably somewhere between 1 and 10 million revenue. What are some nuggets you've learned on that journey?
Well, to be honest, for me, once I got comfortable in my skin and got comfortable with the businesses that are mostly running on their own currently, because I was able to organize the businesses in such a way that I have leaders in each of the things that I'm doing. that take care of most of day-to-day operations, and my involvement is required only maybe once or twice a week on like meetings on calls where I come back to my team and I suggest them new ideas that I had come up with during the time I was away. And then at a certain point, I even stopped doing that because they're like, dude, every time you come, you bring us new ideas, but we haven't even finished the previous ones. Can you wait a little bit? Like, okay, okay. So at a certain point, I even started coming back only like once every 2 weeks so that I don't overwhelm them with all the inspiration that I bring in every time. And eventually, I started thinking of how to be actually more giving to the community and giving to myself, and how to be more present in the moment. So, with all the free time I started gathering in my hands, I decided, I was thinking of like, how can I have a best use of it? And I started getting involved into meditation, into doing all type of research in anthropology of religions, and spending more time for volunteering for the communities that I live in. And that became a very powerful experience for me, especially the meditation, which is called Vipassana, and is taught in on donation based in centers all over the US and all over the world. They're called Vipassana meditation centers, and that became a very important groundwork for me to become more and more understanding of people I work with, of the processes that go around me, and of just being more relaxed and in the moment and in the present without worrying about my businesses too much. And since then, it started feeling like Dharma started working for me, and things just started happening on a click by themselves. Sometimes I don't even have to do anything. Things just get done by on their own. And I feel like when you get into that flow, there is no limit to the sky. Things just start unraveling and unfolding themselves in the best possible way for the person. And I think that's the biggest insight that I got, which may have not or may have happened because I have built all these businesses. But that's ultimately where I ended up after being burnt out a few times while
Right.
working hard on building my businesses, and while spending sleepless nights and working 24/7 every day for a few years. Eventually, I just sat down and I was like, okay, is it how it's going to be all my life? And it led me to new things, new thoughts, and this is where I ended up. I spent a lot of time now just meditating, and things and business takes care of itself. I don't know how it works, but it is what it is, honestly.
I I love that. Let's unpack some of this. You began to build your business, and then for some reason, you chose to get out of the middle of it and get good leaders in place to really run the operations. Can you talk about that transition? Because I think that's one of the early steps for them is when I get over a million, I have to stop working in and solving all the problems. And I need to build other people who will run this thing and run it well and grow it without me, right? Tell me about that change. When did you start to let go and how did you do it?
That's right. I think it's one of the most important things any entrepreneur, and myself, has to take at a certain point in his business career, is just letting things go and uh, allowing to think that there is someone smarter than you can who can do your job better than yourself. And even if he is not maybe as smart, because we all know that story with A players hiring B players hire C players, etc. Even if it is like that, that you teach someone and become a really important mentor for a person who you think could take over day-to-day responsibilities of most of the tactical decisions that have to happen in your company. And for me, it happened when I started realizing that there was just too many things going on at the same time, and that I just don't have enough hours in the day to get all of them done. A and B, honestly, I'm so tired all the time and bothered by doing the same things over and over again. The routine tasks aren't really for me. I'm more of a creative person. I like creating things. I like that first ignite in my mind where I'm like, ah, we need to do that. But then all the math behind it and all the rest day to day work is not something I'm really into, you know? And so I started looking in my team, first of all, for people who could take over the day to day operations. Unfortunately, in some of my businesses, I didn't have such people because they weren't just leaders. And you can't really, I feel like sometimes you can grow a leader out of someone who really is kind of person as a personality. That person has to be, to have those guts, you know, to become a little bit out of his a little bit out of his mind as well too, to be able to start managing other people and not only do his, let's say, in software development. There are a lot of great software developers who love what they do and they can write code all day long, all day, all nights, every day. But once you ask them to manage their coworkers or help their coworkers, they can't do it because they're like too much of introverts, and it's just not for them. So I couldn't make those people into leaders. So I had to go out, look for someone. Eventually, we found those people, that person, you know. So we had to bring in someone from external, but we trained him for a few months. After a few months, are just naturally he began to take over responsibilities on his own because he, unlike let's say my software developers who are introverts, he wanted to be that leader. So slowly but surely he started like giving tasks to everyone. He started leading the calls. He started making tactical decisions. He checked in with me for most important strategic plans that we had, and then I would either approve it or like tell him let's move to a little different path, or I would give him my insights because I have, you know, as a business owner, I do have a lot more, let's say, experience in that particular field than even he. But over a few years that he has been with us, for example, in one of the companies, he grew into a very good leader. And I really don't want to lose him now, you know. So that's another question now: how do you keep those leaders in
Yeah,
place
yeah.
that they don't leave? So that's my
And
story, and then the other businesses, similar stuff.
but what a gem, right? So for all of us listening, how quickly do we either identify internal talent who have a desire to add value through others instead of just do it themselves, right? That's that programmer versus someone who wants to lead someone. There's people who have a desire. They're like, I want to help a lot of people succeed. They want to help them succeed. That's got some leadership material in it, right? And then we can begin working with that. Um, and I believe everyone can have that if they choose, but they have to let go of the old way to embrace the new.
Right.
So that's that first thing. Build those leaders, and even going and finding somebody. It took you a few years to get them to the point where they could really lead it, so you could go off and do your next thing. Uh, but that then bought you free time. What's fun is what you learned in your free time is something I believe we can start implementing now in the chaos moment that will help to open some things up. And it was some of this leading of yourself. Are you taking time to hone your skills and your abilities, your perceptions as a leader? You've found a great way to do it, which has been meditation for you. Um, and my question
Meditation,
to,
mentorship, and teaching.
yeah,
Sharing my knowledge with others.
doing it, and there's no way there's no way to master something quite like teaching it, right? Like,
Exactly. That's
it's
actually so true.
Yeah,
Yes, it's
yeah.
so true.
And so finding where is that place for you, for each one of us leaders now in the thick. We don't have to wait until we've got just spare time sitting on the couch. What am I going to do with my next thing in life? Though now that you've found it, it's made you more effective in leading and starting businesses. Has been this spot of saying, I've found a place where I can really listen and I can be still and I can just renew and perceive what's going on around. Now the opportunities that are all there become evident, and the people that should be engaged becomes obvious, and they start fitting together well, right? And things start just taking care of themselves because you've learned to do that.
those puzzle pieces, I'm just amazed at how that works, but they just fall into place themselves. I don't
Yeah.
know who or how does that, but it's just amazing. That's so true.
It is, and many different belief systems and ways of looking at that, either from karma or from a God who's helping and directing, or just from positive energy in the universe. Lots of different um, belief systems in there, but they all seem to tap into the same thing. How do we sit still, listen, and observe? How do we get clean and cleared out ourselves? Because most of the stillness is the noise. It's the it's the doubts that we have. It's the angers and frustrations. It's all of the stuff that our body may be experiencing all sorts of crazy things, and we're letting that mess with our head and our heart, and just letting it go. Some people, they get to that spot and it's by surfing. Others, it
True,
has to do with hiking in nature. And others, it has
true.
to do with that the music. They just want to, they hear that music and they sit in it. But finding that space of meditation, that space of being still, what a key thing. And whatever it takes, whatever we're missing, maybe we're not eating right, we ought to fix that. Maybe there's some exercise we need to put in there. Maybe, but if we're the secret for success for our business right now, we need to be the best tool we can be, and that
Amen.
takes really leading. I love that you shared that. So few take the time to think about it. So thank you,
Thank
Alex.
you. Thank
um,
you. I'm glad that I was able to do that because I think it's really important.
yeah, we have a 13 steps in building your organization to like really have a visionary organization that's doing something great, and that centerpiece is self leadership. It's
Hmm.
tying the long-term strategic and the short-term tactical and the team building and all of that. It all hinges on how are we leading in our own life. And there's
So
just
it
so
all
much
starts
power
with
there.
ourselves.
That's
Hmm.
right. You start there and you get clear and you get the energy and fuel that you need there. And then you have limitless bounds to add enormous value out there. So thank you so much. I feel like it'd be fun to just hang out with you and let you teach me. Let's
Yeah,
learn your system too, right? And man, I could share some of mine, but we probably have studied some similar things. Um,
it does sound
let's
like you have done
let's
some
switch
meditation or things like that. Yeah.
on the daily, and it I notice the days I miss it are radically
Hmm.
different. It matters that much. It's
Hmm.
not a small thing. It's a big thing.
It is agreed.
um, let's go to another side, and that is, all of us, no matter what success we've achieved, are wrestling with things today, and we're trying to say, how do I move forward on this, and what's a great way, what am I going to do with this, what's a challenge that you're struggling with today that maybe we can be of help and do some live coaching.
Sure, let's see. Honestly, for myself, I've been thinking a lot recently about all these innovations in the tech field, namely AI, artificial intelligence, and how do we manage to implement AI into our businesses on one side without actually jeopardizing our humanity on the other side. Because I always feel like if I start implementing of too much AI into my processes, there may be a moment I won't need all those humans working for me. But on the other side, I feel like empowering my employees, my team members with tools that are currently becoming more and more available in the market from the AI field, they really give you that boost, like real boost in productivity. And so that's the kind of the philosophical question I'm mostly thinking about currently on my free time is how do I empower my employees without losing the kind of the human aspect of it, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's an important question, uh, and I think different people are going to come up with different answers. You obviously have a value around the humanity, or you wouldn't be asking the question. Um, and we don't want to just answer these questions ourselves. We need to empower all of those leaders we just talked about to be able to answer those questions when we're not around in similar ways, right? So, how do we collectively make decisions that are in line with a higher level why, so that we know we're serving our greatest purpose? And I know this may seem a little deep, and I'm sorry for those who are like, man, I came on here for like business advice and we're going philosophical, but these are very practical decisions that come from these higher level questions, right? Uh, Alex, you've done a lot of thinking across your businesses. For you, what is your why? Why continue to build? Is it just because I'm too young to retire? Or is it because there's some greater purpose you're serving that's more important than you? You would sacrifice for that. What's that bigger level why?
At some point, I started realizing that since God, the universe, or Dharma has gifted me with all these leadership abilities, with all these tools, with all these things and thoughts, and a restless mind that can synthesize and do so many calculations and thoughts and processes, that I have definitely been sent to this planet, let's say, to help others. And in my soul, I since childhood, I always had this idea of just like of this question: Can I help you? I don't know. It's just always been like that for me. No matter who I see, with the situations I'm at, the people I talk to, the things that I am in, the question I ask first is like, how can I help you, or can I be useful, or how can I be useful? And I decided that this is something that I will try to surf on, since we have been talking about waves today a little bit as well. And I think that's the why. The big why is um, like, what can I do to make lives of other people enjoyable? How can I help them? How can I help them have more time for their families, and then less time for being burnt out, and things like that? Or how can I help them make their businesses run better with some of the solutions that we have created? This is something that drives me. And I recently just received a few messages from some friends of mine whom I helped like a few years ago. And with one of my latest startups companies, which is an education ed tech company where we teach immigrants in the US to like IT skills, like QA or project management, product management, things like that. We I started, because of the market conditions, I started trying to get a more diverse program, and I started looking for speakers for my courses, and I started inviting people from my own network, from my friends who have been successful in their career paths. And then something that I saw was something that really warmed my heart, is that I messaged two of those friends, and I said, hey man, I know you have been like working at this self-driving company, or the other one is working in another Silicon Valley like big tech company. And I was like, would you be open to sharing your knowledge with my students, because they're new to this field and they really appreciate what you know, and they'd be interesting for them. And I said, it's a paid position, so we will cover your expenses for speaking. And both of those guys replied to me in messages that really warmed my heart. They said, dude, you helped me so much a few years ago that the least thing I can do for you is help you back. And I was like, yes, this means that I've done something right in my life, and let the ball of helping humans out from like humans helping humans keep rolling. This is
Okay,
something that drives me.
let's grab onto that, because yeah, I'm seeing the passion. You you like you like to create this humans helping humans, let's say. Like, why am I here? I'm here to help humans. Like, it not just that I
Exactly.
do some good, but I get others doing good. That I get karma just going like crazy in the positive, right? I just
Right.
want to amp this up. Fantastic. So you're trying to save the world through other people helping each other, in essence,
Mhm.
which is that's exciting. And you've got a few values I've heard in there. Yes, there's this deep care for people, but you also have a value of creativity. You value it so deeply that like you can't stand not having freedom to create. You probably like to free other people up to create so they don't feel stuck in something, right? And and you've got a value in there also. Like if I was, you know, well, I I forgot the third one, but it's on the recording. Other people are going to hear it. Where you were talking about something like, oh, he leans into that. That matters to him. And so you start looking like, okay, there's a handful of values and there's this big driving why. Now, you may want to work the why a little bit more, but still thinking through that. Now we take the philosophical question of AI and we start to say, if I wanted to use AI in order to just do more work, but not need people through the process and not care how I'm impacting them, and I wanted my AI to be the impact for people out there, if that's where I wanted to go, I could do that. But it may be that the way I wanted to do it was instead, how can I use AI that help people more, that leverage and that free them up from mundane tasks. And now they just need more mentoring and coaching to do the next level work. Because AI currently that I've seen, and I may be naive, doesn't truly create. AI recreates,
Right, it's a
right?
plagiarism machine, as I read
That's
today.
right. It's a plagiarism machine today. I don't know where it will go, but things it doesn't seem to do is it doesn't ask the initial question of what should be solved. What
Mm.
does matter, really, right? It doesn't ask the initial questions. We have to give it questions and frame things for it to then respond and create and plagiarize the world, right? But it's not creating new, and it's
Mhm.
not, in essence, seeking um, to help other people yet. But it could be used to free people up to truly create. It could be used to take some mundane off so we have more time to mentor. It could be used for, right? And so when we start thinking about it, what's the world solution with AI? I don't know. But what would be Alex's way that he would feel really good? So philosophically aligned is to always go back to what's my why? Will this serve that why above everything else? And if it does, we're winning. And what's cool is when you and your team create the why together, you get to go back to that and the tough questions. You can say, okay, if we are solving whatever problem, if we're solving this problem in line with our purpose, in line with our values, let's talk about the options that fulfill that the most. Not necessarily today that generate the most profits, though there may be a piece of that too. There can be a solid goal that we have tied with those, and I call that the mission. So now I've got, well, the mission goals. Now I've got a purpose, I've got values, and I've got some mission goals in there. Maybe a mission in there in the middle of it of just saying, here's the mountain we're going to climb. Now now, AI, where's your place? And let's lean in hard to use it exactly where it belongs for us, in line with mentoring, in line with freeing people to create, in line with caring. Um, that may be a direction to think while you're looking at the philosophical question. Create more people around you that could share the same vision, and then say, now, how do we use that to leverage the vision? Which for you, the people are in there, right? The people are going to be in there because you love mentoring too much to get rid of them.
That's probably true. I love your insight, David. Thank you for kind of pointing these things out. Actually, it does make a lot of sense. And I like the way you put it about freeing up people from mundane tasks to offer them an ability to create more and to mentor others more. And that's probably what it is. That is what it is.
It, at least for you, because that's
At
more in
least
line
for
with
me,
your
yeah.
purpose and your values, and or some other variation of that. But while it's aligned with that, you'll find your meditation more peaceful instead of agitated. And it becomes agitated when our actions are out of line with those core drivers of life. I find that when I do that for every area of my business, the joy level goes way up, and so does the success level with the team when we do that work to. And I kind of need time for it, kind of like you take daily meditation time. I take a quarterly time in the year to just block out everything, pull that team together, and say, no, let's get back to our roots, what really
Yes,
matters, and
I love
let's
that.
revisit it, let's sit in it, let's talk about it, let's be real. Am I violating any of those core values today? How do we live more true to them, right? And then as we get aligned there, now it's easier. And then what's the mission that we're all excited that we believe is fully aligned? Now I've got my solid goals, the metrics, what we're going to work towards, right? We can all
Mhm.
celebrate together. um, Strategy starts to roll out of it a little bit easier because I have highest level decision flowing through. Then my day-to-day tasks start to be clear and meaningful, purposeful in the day-to-day. So anyway, hopefully that's useful to you.
Yeah, it's great insights. Thank you. Thank you.
uh, I I just had fun chatting with you today, Alex. That so people can get in touch with you. I mean, I'm already telling them, go to buildateam.io,
That's right.
buildateam.io. That's a simple way to get in touch and say, I need a team that can create whatever I'm dreaming up. And you're pulling the best
That's
talent from around the world to do that for them. And, or if they need it, the most cost effective, right? Depending on where that need is, you're pulling that together. Any other way you would prefer they contact, or is that good enough?
I think that's good enough. You can find me on LinkedIn, Alexey Mustafin. I mean, I'm on Instagram, Lex Mustafin. I think that's pretty much it. And website is the best spot to reach out about the business questions that you may have. Have a contact form over there. Just feel free to send us a message, and our team will take care of you.
Well, fantastic. Alex, thank you again for being a guest today on our podcast. That wraps up this episode of the Seven Figure Journey podcast, where we, look at the ins and outs of this seven-figure journey. And today's was fun, right? Today's was like, we don't always get to look at the self-leadership side and then tie it back to the bigger picture. That was enjoyable. Thank you, Alex, for leading us that direction today. Uh,
Thank you, Derek. I enjoyed that we were able to talk about that angle as well.
as for all the listeners, do what you need to share it with other great seven-figure business owners out there. Like, share it on social, whatever you do. But while you're leading your business, remember to just keep building, keep dreaming, uh, keep striving. Until next time.